Ahoy, Captains! This is Uncle Neil from Subsim coming to you today with a preview of a new project from the Maslas Brothers. We've been told that the name will probably change, but for now, we'll call it Modern Naval Warfare. As you can see, it's a new take on the modern submarine combat sim, similar to Dangerous Waters, but brought up to speed with better graphics. Just a note, Dangerous Waters was released in 2005. That was 15 years ago, my friends. Some of us have never stopped hoping that Sonus would return to the scene with a new title. Well, maybe now we can have a new dream. The developers put together this proof of concept demo to secure a producer or funding to finish the game. The demo at this point has two workable stations. Helm, which lets you manage the periscope or, in this case, photonic mast, and the nav station where you can observe your contact position. It's limited in scope, which is fine for a proof of concept video. Just putting together a demo with this much detail is a lot of time and work, and it shows. In this demo, you have control of the nav screen, the helm, and the photonic display screen. Fire control and sonar are limited in this demo. According to the devs, they plan to include fully functional stations for the following: helm, sonar, nav, radar, radio, photonics, TMA, fire control, ESM, and the TLAM's mission planner. That would be a fully functional simulation. That should make everyone happy. With this demo, the game just runs a scripted example of how it'll play out. The program is doing the classification for you. My understanding is the finished game will have realism options that allow you to do all this yourself. You can manage the classification of ships, develop the target motion analysis, and setting up a fire control solution based on your observations and analysis. I've asked lead developer Demetrius about the focus of the interactive control room concept, how they intend to place the player in the captain's position at the center of the action. He said the idea behind it is simple. When being positioned in the con, you'll be the captain of the ship, and at that moment, every station will be managed by an available AI operator. As captain, you'll be able to give orders to each station by focusing on it with the mouse and making the proper order selection from a very intuitive user interface. Realistic voice acting, message logging, visual indications, and visual effects in extreme circumstances will be used as methods to supply you, the player, the proper feedback of your orders and actions. With modern nuclear submarines and wire-guided torpedoes, fire control is mostly a matter of estimating range and bearing and getting the torpedo on its way to the target. You just have to be sure you know what the target is.
Approached order depth.
With the classics of the past like Subcommand and Dangerous Waters, you had the option to do everything manually, and everything depended on you, your patience, and your skill. You didn't have someone telling you what kind of ship it was or if it was neutral or enemy ship. You would go to the sonar station, select the contacts, and use the tools to classify them and set up a fire control solution. I asked the devs how they plan to approach this with their game, and they said the player will have the option to focus from the con to every available station terminal and take manual control of it. When the player leaves the station and returns to the con position, the AI again will be in charge. Since they're going to implement crew management as a gameplay feature, the station efficiency is going to be judged by the station's AI operator experience. That said, if a novice player chooses to run the sub on a lower difficulty level, then his sub will be manned by a very experienced crew from the start of the campaign. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Just exactly how much of the simulation will be handled by the player managing the analysis, and how much can be achieved hands-off and letting the game AI give info to the player. Another aspect the developers are focused on is bringing real water physics to the handling of your submarine. Demetrius said most modern submarines are always missing the real joy of taking the helm of a 9,000-ton beast. In older games, the pilot station was just a bitmap that really didn't do much, since you just set depth, speed, and bearing. With this game, the pilot has to learn and understand what trimming is, what to do with the planes and the ballast tanks, and how all of this knowledge affects the boat's behavior on the water, even though in the Virginia class, this is mostly automated. In making any computer game, you want your game to appeal to as many people as possible, both casual players and hardcore gamers who want everything to be realistic. That's where the scalability of realism options is very important. The mission is to satisfy both camps. Talking with the developers, they want to combine the 3D con feature with the station on screen feature by using their robust networking technology. This will give the player the option to get access to almost any station screen through tablets and web browsers. I asked if you can put two different stations on two displays, but at this point the answer is no. They claim that in most cases, the terminal stations in DW and Subcommand were modeled with a very good balance between realism and gameplay. If we forget the 3D dimension for a moment, that part should be the same in their game. Since they're modeling modern subs, the station interfaces in the game are based on the actual software used in interfaces from real life. The demo features a really nice exterior animation. Being able to watch your sub in action is a pretty satisfying part of the game. Seeing torpedoes and missiles strike home and blow stuff up, well, who doesn't like that?
Weapon ready on all aspects, sir.
The devs assured me that while there will be an exterior view for the player to see his sub, it will not be a reliable tool to manage the action. The game won't tell you anything about a contact until you have fed the information into the system and determined the identity and position. Dimitri said that the player could only see platforms and events he has determined through analysis, with the option to disable this feature on both single player and multiplayer modes. There will be some cutscenes of critical events such as torpedo impacts and other actions. One of the strengths this demo provides is the feeling of being in a modern attack submarine. You're in the control room. In previous modern era subsims, because of limitations of computers, the depiction of the control room and the interior of the sub was very limited. Going back to 1988's Red Storm Rising, you were basically just given a static display with a few animations. Jumping forward to 1994, Seawolf's control room gave you pictures of crewmen with the control room and other stations in the background. This did allow better suspension of belief and help you feel there were other men on your sub. They didn't move, but at least they were there. Of course, Silent Steel, which was released in 1995, that was a video-based game. You were shown the set of a submarine control room, along with a few other compartments like the sonar shack and the wardroom, but there was no interaction with any of the stations in this game.
Gentlemen, morning, sir. Mr. Wheeler just got this off the VLF wire.
1996's Fast Attack gave you a basic 2D static display of a control room where you could click on the individual stations.
Torpedo room con.
This was
torpedo
obviously
room
an
I.
improvement on the control room from the games that came before it, but it was still pretty stale. The background sounds helped bring this to life more than the actual visuals, since none of the crewmen moved and nothing was visually happening. Thankfully, you also had the option to switch from station to station using the toolbar at the bottom of the screen. That's how most players managed the game 30 seconds after the novelty of the 2D control room image wore off. Modern Naval Warfare improves on this by moving the player from station to station instead of just instantly appearing there. Finally, we get to Solus. They appeared on the scene in 1997. Solus was a U.S. Navy contractor and they knew everything about modern submarines that any developer would dream to know. They released 688, and the game did have a control room that allowed you to move from station to station, albeit in a rather clumsy fashion. As a rule, when I played 688, I never really used this control room view. It was not very engaging, and it slowed you down. Again, most people probably just use the toolbar to click from station to station. I really like the depiction of the control room in this new game. It's well done. When you click on each station, it doesn't appear magically. You move towards the station. You get the full station display. I think this distinguishes this game from a lot of the previous modern era subsims that tried to show control rooms. I like this, and it seems to be a good approach. They do plan to use the F buttons, F1 through 12, as station positioning shortcuts, but other than that, they want to keep the interface as clean as possible. Since this project is very much in the mode of Solus games, I asked which parts of Dangerous Waters and Subcommand do they feel should be modeled similarly in their project. They said in most cases the station terminals on Dangerous Waters and Subcommand were modeled with a very good balance between realism and gameplay. If we forget the 3D dimension for a moment, that part should still be the same. They consider this project to be the logical extension of its predecessors. Their goal is modern graphics, modern platforms, a more enriched networking system, more complete multi-station with a co-op campaign, living and breathing real-world environments, and Most of all, a platform that will have constant development and it will continue to evolve after its release. So there you go, modern naval warfare. Hopefully we'll hear something pretty soon about the status and the name of this game. We'll keep you posted. For a more detailed examination of playing through the demo scenario, let me suggest checking out videos by FPS Chasley and Wolfpack 345. See the links in the description below. Well, that's all I've got. Have a great day and good hunting. When they told me that the name, Modern Naval Warfare, may be changed, I asked the developer if the new name would have any of the following Subsim buzzwords. The devs said they would love to call the game something that would differentiate it from the games in the past. These are some of the names that are under consideration.